What's going on, guys? Crusty K's here from the Go Boys Network, coming to you with college football week number 2. I am so excited to talk about it. We're going to talk about a couple games on Friday, talk about a few games on Saturday. We're going to get you guys set up for this weekend. Let's make some money. So the first game we're going to talk about is this Duke Northwestern game tomorrow, Friday night. Probably one of the most boring games on the slate, but we're going to talk about it. So, interesting game here. Northwestern playing at a temporary stadium right off the lake. Temperatures for this game with the lake effect considerably colder than the rest of the state. And for that reason, a lot of people like the under, and I don't disagree. I think it's reached a point now where you can't bet it. It's all the way down to, I believe, like 36.5. This thing opened up at like 39.5, maybe even 40.5 a couple spots. And for me, I think you've reached a point now where you miss the number. It's too late. Let's find a different angle. So for me in this one, if you watch either of these teams play in week 1, Duke, a pretty underwhelming performance against Elon. I mean, they dominated like you thought they would, but maybe not. It wasn't as dominant as maybe it should have been. I mean, Malik Murphy didn't look bad. The running game kind of stunk. But Northwestern, they went up against Miami, Ohio, which in my opinion is a team that can compete for the championship in the MAC. And I'm not a big Mike Wright guy, not at all, not in the least bit. So for me in this one, I like Duke on the money line. It's a gross game. It's probably going to be low scoring. Like I said, that under is probably in play. This could be one of those games where if you like tease up the total and take the under, pair it with like Duke, plus, 7, you probably find a number where you can like get it close to even money for the pair. But I like Duke here. I like Duke on the money line. Like I said, it's going to be gross. I just think that their quarterback, the talent around him is better than what Northwestern has. I mean, obviously, like I said, this game is, I think it's a 2-point spread at this point, 2.5. Yeah, 2-point spread. So, I mean, this game's going to be close. It's going to be tight. I think both teams, I'd be surprised if either team breaks 20 points, truthfully. But I really do think Duke ends up getting this one done. They are a small dog here. I think it'll be a defensive battle. Again, not one of my favorite games on the slate, but one I felt we should talk about because there's only 2 games on Friday, and we got to have some action for Friday. So that's number 1, Duke on the money line. The next game we're going to talk about here is BYU taking on SMU. This game, spread opened at, I believe, 10.5. I've seen up until about 12.5 some spots. For me in this one, it's going to be the over. So what I'm looking at here, SMU, obviously we all know, prolific offense. They're going to take on a BYU team who, in my opinion, their defense, not great. I think SMU should be able to take full advantage of that here. But my holdup is this SMU team, I think week 0, they kind of sleptwalked through that Nevada game. I think, I don't think the defense is as good as last year, but I think they're better than they played in that game. Obviously, last week they had a cupcake matchup, and so we can't really count that one towards anything. But I think BYU offensively matches up pretty well with this SMU defense. They have a big physical runner in the backfield, a quarterback in Retzlaff who looked really good, honestly, in week 1, albeit against, inferior talent. But I think they can put up some points here and help us get to this total. Initially, when I looked at the spread, I wanted to jump on BYU, but my biggest concern here is that they are unable to keep up. We end up seeing this game be like a 40-20 or something like that, and obviously they wouldn't cover the spread at that point. I think SMU is going to get right. I think Preston Stone just, it's a couple games in off of the leg injury, a little rusty to be expected. But we all know, their offense is prolific. RJ Maryland's an absolute monster. Running backs, they're absolutely loaded. Not sure what's been going on with Jalen Knighton as of late, so that'll be something to monitor. But they have 2 guys more than capable of, shouldering the workload there. So give me the over. I believe it's at, I'm going to give you guys an accurate number here. It is at 55.5. So give me the over 55.5 in the SMU BYU game. The next one, we are on to Saturday. So the next one we're going to talk about Texas traveling up to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. This is a game that everyone's going to want to talk about. Michigan, obviously, week 1, we all know, did not look great against Fresno State. Has everybody off of the Michigan wagon, and I don't blame them. So in this game in particular, I really, really wanted to push the button on Texas like 3 days before the spread ballooned to what it is now. I couldn't possibly touch the spread at 7.5, laying it with Texas. I just can't. I can't lay it in Ann Arbor. It's not a number I'm comfortable with. Even if I think it's the right side, I can't do it. So for me in this one, the play that I loved the most was Jaden Blue under 7.5 rushing yards. So basically, Michigan, obviously on defense, we know they're up against the run. They are absolutely elite. And I think if Texas is going to have success in this game, it's going to be on the arm of Quinn Ewers, not running the ball between the tackles. It's going to be, getting these guys in space and trying to exploit the Michigan secondary. So Michigan up front, they're big, they're strong, they're nasty. And I think Blue, who, mind you, is not the bell cow. He's like in a, I don't want to say 50-50, maybe like a 60-40 split. See maybe, I'd say 12, 13 carries at most. He's not covering this line. This line for me is too high. It opened lower and people ballooned it up, and I will gladly take the under at 67.5. If you, like I said, if you do want a side, I think Texas money line makes a great parlay piece. But for me, I'm not laying the -7.5. I can't get myself there. Our next one, Arkansas, traveling up to, or not up to, but over to Clearwater, taking on Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State coming off a big win over South Dakota State. Very, very dominant win. I know a lot of people were skeptical of how that one would look because obviously South Dakota State, time and time again, one of the best teams in the FCS, if not the best team. But Oklahoma State, handled business, made it look pretty easy. Ollie Gordon got his typical 1 million carries. So in this one here, I like Oklahoma -7.5. Obviously, we're not on a football number, so it's a little uneasy, but I think they do cover it. I think they win this game by 10+. I've seen a lot of love for Arkansas, and I don't get it. So offensively, Talon Green, obviously, great quarterback coming over from Boise. Very mobile. Jaquindon Jackson, the running back from Utah, again, great running back. I think maybe they can hang with Oklahoma State for a bit, but that defense, in my opinion, for Oklahoma State is just nasty. And eventually, they're gonna take over this game, and I don't think Arkansas can stop Oklahoma State on offense. Bowman looked really good. Obviously, Ollie Gordon's gonna see his huge workload there. And for me, this is just a game where Oklahoma State at home, it's just a tough team to play, and it's a tough environment to play in, and I just don't think that defense holds up well here. So give me Oklahoma State -7.5. I know it's not a popular one, but it's one that's going to pay. Our next one, so Baylor taking on Utah. This is a matchup here for me. This is actually an official play for me as well. The numbers moved a bit, but I will give it out. Obviously, your mileage will vary at the current number. But Utah -14, I jumped in on it a couple days ago. I believe those are 15 most spots now. Maybe buy it down and put it in a parlay. I don't love being off the football number, obviously, but here's where I'm at with this game. So DeQuan Finn for Baylor, the quarterback. I mean, this is a guy who at Toledo lit it up. We all know that. Probably the best quarterback in the MAC. Now he's playing with the big boys. He's never seen an environment like this in Utah. And if you know anything about this Utah team, especially at home, that defense is ridiculous. I believe last season they allowed under 14 points per game. Number 1 in rush yards allowed per carry. Top 20 in passing yards allowed. I mean, this defense at home is just a different animal. And, oh yeah, by the way, they returned 10 starters. So this defense is back. Oh, and by the way, again, their offense without Cam Rising last year was absolutely terrible. So their defense was on the field all the time, and they didn't allow a single thing. Kept them in pretty much every game. So now obviously Cam Rising is back. That offense is back. They're humming. You saw Cam Rising look really good in his first start of the season. I think that continues here. I love Brant Keith, however you want to say it, their tight end. He's finally healthy. Think he has a big game once again. That's a guy who we know is going to soak up a ton of volume. Ultimately, I just think this Utah defense, especially at home, going to be way too much for DeQuan Finn in his first real true road environment, in my opinion. Yeah, he's playing on the road in the MAC, but come on, it's the MAC, okay? You're going to Utah, one of the toughest places to play in all of college football, and I think it's too much for him. I think DeQuan Finn is in for a long day here. Give me Utah -14.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one, this is probably an extremely controversial game. Colorado taking on Nebraska. So Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Raiola. I mean Mahomes Jr. I guess. I don't know. I'm not really into all that hype, but hey, it should be a good matchup. Should be a lot of points. So for me in this one, I like Nebraska. I like them at the -7 that it's at right now as I'm recording this. If it gets to 7.5, buy it down the half point, take it at the 7. Here's where I'm at here. Okay. So Colorado, the offense, awesome for sure. They're going to score. Nebraska, their offense looked really good week 1. I think that continues here against a Colorado defense that we saw clearly thinks it's optional to play. So they managed to get by North Dakota State because there's still a gap here, in my opinion, between the FCS and the FBS, regardless of what anybody says. No matter how good you are in the FCS, there's still a talent gap. Okay, now you're playing a team in the FBS in Nebraska, in a tough place to play at that. And this team looks good. They're motivated. They believe they can win. They believe they can compete. And they have the talent, in my opinion. So in this game, I do expect points. I ultimately just expect Nebraska to get us that 1 or 2 stops we need to cover this number. I do lean over if you prefer to take a total, but I think Nebraska -7 is the right play here. I like Raiola passing yards. I gave it on Twitter 4 or 5 days ago. It's been steamed up a ton. I still like it at the number it's at right now. I think it's at like 235.5. I got it at 218.5. Think he throws towards about 300 yards, truthfully. This game has shootout written all over it. I do think Nebraska will try to dominate time possession here with a little more running than Colorado will do, which that's not hard to do. Colorado doesn't run the ball. So I like Nebraska -7, like Raiola. I think Shedeur, like I said, I think he's going to have a big game to keep them in it, and I think he does have a big game to an extent. Travis Hunter, obviously, going to soak up a ton of volume. We all know that. I think his props are in play as well. But ultimately, give me Nebraska -7 at home here. They get this one done. Our next one, the Tennessee Volunteers taking on the NC State Wolfpack. So this game, spread sitting at 7.5. I've gone back and forth on this one a lot. Didn't actually play anything official in this one. But for me here, for this video, we're going Tennessee -7.5. Initially, I wanted to back NC State. I think that the game against Western Carolina left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I think they're better than how they played in that game. Obviously, I think they just weren't up for that game. But when it comes to an SEC team taking on really any other conference, I mean, Big 12 maybe not, but taking on like the ACC, there's a level of physicality in the SEC that I think you can't replicate in the ACC. And so for that reason, I think that the Tennessee defense is just going to kind of bully this NC State team. Grayson McCall, obviously we all know, transfer from Coastal Carolina, been there for like 100 years. And I think he's going to really struggle in this spot. This defense, while they're not lights out by any means, but they're big, they're physical, they pressure the quarterback, and I think this is a spot where their defense kind of, on the road in particular, kind of takes this game over. So Nico at quarterback for Tennessee, a lot of people are high on him. Huge frame, mobile guy, definitely has the intangibles to be, a star down the road, I believe. But for me in this one, it's not even so much on him in this game as much as I think the defense is going to really control this game and ultimately dictate the outcome of this one here for Tennessee. Grayson McCall, we saw him against Western Carolina, not great. They couldn't run the ball at all against Western Carolina. I think Jordan Waters had like one big run, I think it was like a 50-yard run that made the numbers look better. But overall, he did not run the ball well. They did not run the ball well as a team. And against Tennessee, I don't see how you're going to get anything going on the ground. And if you have to rely on McCall, and if Tennessee knows that it's going to be on McCall's arm, you're just setting yourself up for failure to let those guys pin their ears back and come get you. So Tennessee -7.5 on the road. It's a tough lay for sure, but technically it's not on the road. I guess it's a neutral site, but it's in Carolina. So we'll call it a road game. I'll take the -7.5 for Tennessee here. I think they get this one done relatively easy. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick reminder that new users can bet $5 at FanDuel on any of the bets in this video and win $150 in bonus bets if the bet wins. Now let's get back to the bets. The last one we're going to talk about, Boise State taking on Oregon. Big Ten after dark, anybody? It used to be Pac-12 after dark. Obviously they're in Big Ten now, so Big Ten after dark it is. Oregon underwhelmed in their first game against Idaho State. A lot of people were, concerned about it. They only put up 24 points. I ask you to look at how many yards they had, though. They had almost 500 yards of offense in a game that they obviously didn't give two shits about. Now you're going to face a Boise team who got absolutely shredded by Georgia Southern. I think Oregon goes absolutely nuclear in this game. Spread right now, I think it's 19.5. I like the -19.5. I like the over in this game. I've got a few concerns about Boise keeping up, and that's kind of what kept me off the over. But Oregon -19.5. This feels like a game where they come out. If you watch that game against Idaho, they ran a lot of short passes, a little more like a vanilla offense, if you will. And I think they opened this thing up a little bit here. Dylan Gabriel had like 49 pass attempts and only had like 300 some yards passing. I mean, For me here, this is where they start to open it up a bit. I think we see a lot of downfield shots to Tez. We saw this Boise secondary against Georgia Southern. They couldn't cover any of that. So their quarterback had a field day against them. Boise was lucky to get out of there with the win. For me here, I mean, now you got to go into Oregon and play Oregon. Good luck. Dylan Gabriel, Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, however you want, this offense is going to go nuclear in this game. If you want to take the Oregon team total, I think that hits. I like the Oregon minus 19.5, like I said. I just think this team dominates this game. There's only so much Ashton Jeanty can do. Obviously, Oregon knows that's what Boise wants to do with the ball, so I expect them to load up. They're a big team up front. I think they can at least slow him down. I'm not going to say they're going to stop him. This guy's unbelievable, but I think they at least slow him down. And if you're going to put this game, on somebody else's shoulders other than Jeanty, I think Boise's in for an extremely long day here. So give me Oregon minus 19.5. That is all the games we're going to talk about this time, though. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys made some money last week. This is week number 2. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep making some money. As always, you can get all of my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, dial 100 Gambler. Thank you guys.